Hi, everybody. It's Jenny Lee Secon and my colleague in the related field, Wanda Lusman. Hi, Wanda.
Hi, Jenny.
Yeah, thank you for joining me again today. This is our Soulful Women's Journey, the next episode. And Wanda and I started our talking, episode from last time. For in case any of you who is watching doesn't know us yet, Wanda and I, we connected, the first time as the guest speakers in the radio show on forgiveness. And then, when we connected and chatted to each other, knowing each other's life experiences and spiritual growth, transformational journey, we really knew that we have to do this work to share the messages that we are called to spread, right? To help people. Especially Wanda is an author and speaker. We both are called to help people, the community, for spiritual growth and for really discovering the love that lives inside, not grabbing from external resource. Okay, so last time we already started our talk about our field. We will focus on about loss, grief, and love, from brokenness to wholeness. So the feedback we got from last talk was like it covered a bit too much information from one talk. So that's why today we will start to break down to the several detailed stages that people go through when they experience the loss and need to deal with their grief. So let me start first, Wanda. Usually when people go through in their life with sudden loss, or even not sudden, like me, I will share with you a little bit of my experience. When we experience the loss, so with the human tendency, with the loving, caring heart, usually for nice people, kind people, right? They intend to like push down or suppress their natural feelings as a human, or at the beginning stage of especially they so lost their self because things happen in such and like in a way that not making any sense, so people don't know what to do. It's a very chaos stage usually, right? So yeah, let's talk about this because it's just so important and it's so painful at the beginning when things just happened. Usually, maybe one that you can share with us because you personally lost your loved ones, your husband. So it's just so hard. Can you share with us a little bit, like at the beginning stage?
Yeah, when he first passed, I would say I went into a really numbing kind of phase where I would say I didn't feel anything, like not sadness, not anger. I just was numb, you know. And I think that's very common when somebody passes. Typically, we go into shock and denial because we're overwhelmed with the
Yes.
loss. And it's like too much for us to really handle all at once. So
Yes.
it's almost like a gift that our psyche gives us by creating this buffer of shock and denial and numbing, so that you're a little bit separated from the intensity. That's not to say you aren't going to have some intensity, because I felt like I would have what I would almost call breakthrough intensity, where I would not really feel anything and then all of a sudden be wailing,
Yes.
and crying, deep, deep, deep pain. And then it would stop and I'd go back to just being numb. And so it's sort of like those waves would come through, but overarching that first, I don't even, probably 2 to 3 months was a numbing feeling that I had.
Yeah. Numbness really happens for a reason. It's almost like a human protective mechanism, right? Because it helps us from this pain, from feeling this pain. So this happens so much. And at the beginning stage, people are so shocking, astonishing, or whatever. Just we just cannot, use our head to try to make sense, because we try to make sense. And then it's suddenly, so you said denial, and some people kind of still have expectation or have some imagination, what if, or so people have guilty feeling or whatever. Because it just, beyond your imagination, just like seconds sometimes, or whatever, it's just done. You cannot redo them. So people just got stuck there in their subconscious mind, in their emotional, part level and spiritual level. So all these kind of situations. So for me, I didn't have a sudden loss of my mother. I had a sudden first time notification about her, hemorrhage, brain bleeding situation. But then I didn't realize it became chronic in the whole year. She went to ICU 4 times and then stayed in vegetative state for 3 years. So it's kind of, I shared with you, it's kind of chronic loss. It's like every day I feel like I'm losing her, but it's like she's still there. So this kind of torturing almost. So this kind of pain or whatever, but for me, I have to push it away. I cannot afford to deal with my grief, my pain, my anything, because I'm still busy. I have young baby, family, everything, work, career, money situation, health, everything. So I just try to push away. And that's what many people do. So I'm busy. I need to be strong and tough, and I need to deal with and help other family members, maybe, or help something. So it's just so busy, so everything overwhelmed. And then we don't allow ourselves to go through this initial natural step as a human being, because it's just so natural for a human. And then, we just push, we keep busy using our rational mind to still deal with everything. Now we missed the natural process to deal with this initial step. So, yeah. And if we really do also, I make some notes there, like, some people even judge, feel guilty, judge themselves and everything. It's their fault. So it's like you mentioned to me, I think before, that somewhere during the procedure, you felt like guilty or something, right?
Right.
Yeah. So if I didn't do that, yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say the first feeling that came up for me was guilt. And I was quite surprised that that was the feeling coming up. Just a little background, I do have some mental health and counseling training, and I had worked at a hospice with teens who'd lost a loved one. And I ran a support group probably for about 10 years. And I never really understood that guilt was quite a big piece
Oh yeah.
of grief. And I understood that people might feel guilty, like maybe if they had had a fight with the loved one before they passed, that they felt guilty. But I didn't have that. It was very peaceful, and we had a very positive conversation before he passed, and our marriage, was in a very good place. So I was like, where is this coming from? But that was my first feeling that sort of started breaking through, was that guilt of different things that happened, and things. He was sick for 7 months, and kind of like your mom, where in and out of the hospital, and debilitating things happening, and very quick decline. And you're trying to help that not happen. You're
Yes.
trying to help them get the help they need, and excuse me, and help them get better, and they're not getting better, and you feel like maybe there was something more you could do. Excuse me, but the bottom line with my husband was his cancer was terminal. There was nothing, that they don't have a cure for this cancer. So it wasn't a matter of finding the correct treatment, you know. So anyway, so that was the guilt that played on me. Like, was there something else I could have,
Yes.
should have done,
Yes, I do. I do know that, many people I help, the clients I help, they, just got stuck there.
Yeah.
It's like many
Mhm.
years later, they still. So all kinds of different feelings. But the
Mhm.
message really we want to share here is that whatever you feel, how you feel, what kind of thoughts and beliefs or whatever come up, you
Mhm.
just know it's okay. Allow yourself to feel anything, to be numb, try not to talk to people, or whatever. For me, the big thing is like unfairness.
Mm. Yes.
I am the one doing all these nice things, good things to help people. I always love to help people. I
Mhm.
pray, I go to church, whatever. So do all these good things, supposedly, right? And
Mhm.
why it's happening to me, and make it happen like this. It's just
Mhm.
unfair. I just felt like so strong, this unfair feeling, but
Mhm.
then you cannot fix it. And it's
Mhm.
your mother, loved one. And when
Yeah.
you see this and every day, it's just, you just cannot accept. I just kept fighting
Mhm.
for quite a while, just
Yeah.
but at the same
Mhm.
time still deal with it. So it's like
Right.
there is internal conflicting, split energy goes on.
Yes.
So
Good
it's,
point.
and it puts myself really into a very uncomfortable place, even more
Mhm.
painful state.
Yes. Mhm.
Already this part, and now this fighting inside. So
Mhm.
it goes on. But back then, I didn't start to do my healing work as I do right now yet. So I
Mhm.
didn't know to use some tools to help myself to really express.
Mhm.
So this is the next point, a really important point I like to share here. Allow yourself and accept whatever state you are in, but try to shift from your head space to your
Mhm.
heart, because it's all we talk to now for like 10 minutes or so, right? All
Mhm.
what we talk about is human feeling, really the emotions, but human intent to make sense, to control things, to
Mhm.
give solutions. from our head space. But our
Right.
head doesn't help. That's the
Mm-mm.
biggest point we want to make here, right?
Yes.
Our head, our logical mind doesn't resolve, doesn't help any emotional issues.
Mm-hmm.
Now we beat ourselves, up and, try to undo, we cannot, whatever, we just get so stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So we allow ourselves to shift from our head space to the heart. Really need to process, especially for the person like I was before. I was positive. I was trying to coach myself. I need to inspire others. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be negative, weak or whatever. So for these people, you need to go through these steps naturally. Allow yourself to be a human. So if we don't go through this initial step in a healthy way, then what's gonna happen? So for me personally, because I didn't have time to process, even though
Mm-hmm.
all these kind of unfair feeling or whatever inside of me, I still kept pushing to live my life, regularly. Yeah, of course. Some people say, what choices do I have? Life goes on. I have to. Yeah, that doesn't mean you need to stop living your life.
Right.
You really need to process from your emotional level to let
Mm-hmm.
them out. But if I didn't. So eventually, when the whole thing passed, my mother finally, after 3 years staying on the lying on the, dying bed, she passed away. But, along the way, I finally, had physical symptoms come up because
Mm-hmm.
I suppressed my feelings.
Yeah.
I didn't allow myself to process.
Mm-hmm.
So push them all down. I was stressed out, overwhelmed, and finally lost the alignment with who I am. How I
Mm-hmm.
feel is about who I am. So lost the balance in my energy system. I got sick myself. That's when finally I started to be guided to the new path, doing this
Mm-hmm.
living work finally, because I had to heal myself. And some of the clients I helped before, many, many, many years later, now when I help them working on other issues, physical
Mm-hmm.
symptoms, of course, and some other, money or whatever issue, even relationships. So
Mm-hmm.
it turned out to be like we had to go back to the early stage when those kind of previous incidents, evidence, loss, and the grief events happened. Many
Mm-hmm.
people found that grief still got stuck many years later. Now it impacted in different areas of their life. So
Yeah.
it happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So do you also see that in your own experience, Wanda, or you have any other people's examples?
Well, it's been a long time since I've been
Yes.
in
Yes.
mental health practice, so I don't really
Yes.
recall
Yes.
any situations from there. But I had a different experience. I work in a school setting,
Yeah.
and my husband passed on the last day
Mm-hmm.
of school. And
Yes.
so I had the summer stretching out ahead of me where it was very unstructured and I was by myself. So I had a lot of time to sit and process, probably too much, but and with my training, I did understand that there were stages and what was happening and that kind of thing. But the grief, like I said, I mean, the guilt that popped up and I didn't know what that was, and so that was new to me to process that. And we don't have to talk about that today, but I did have to address it. And
Yes.
I think that's what you're trying to say today is whatever feeling is breaking through that numb, shocking denial state, go ahead and acknowledge that.
Yes.
And sit with that.
Yes.
And don't judge yourself. Easier to say than do. And don't try to push it away. Let it be. There's not a lot you can do in those first stages.
Yes.
So you just kind of have to let whatever the thing is coming up for you to be, name it and sit with it and allow it to be. That would be.
Yeah, address it. I like that. Yeah,
yes,
for
what
sure.
I think is the
Yes.
best thing you can do.
Yes. So the other thing I like to mention is that in a normal, natural state, when people are in that grief state,
Mhm.
of course, it's a strong, strong emotional state. And it takes us a lot of energy
Yes.
to suppress our feelings, suppress
Mhm.
our grief if we don't address it, or if we
Mhm.
don't know the tools to help us.
Right.
So that's what I do right now, use some emotional technique, freedom releasing technique to help to address, to release them and let them out. But if you just keep pushing them down and not allowing yourself to give the healthy outlet to those feelings, grief, it's a very, very heavy, heavy energy state.
Yes.
Then it sucks our energy. So
Mhm.
if you really feel like you don't have energy to do anything, that's what I did finally. I just lay there, don't have energy to even make phone call, to get out, get off the bed or whatever. So even though you are experiencing going through that stage, you need to understand it's okay. That's the normal situation. Don't try to really still keep pushing yourself, making it happen when you cannot. So long-term wise, it will really be harmful for your health.
Right.
So recap this initial stage. So it's really like honor ourselves as human beings.
Yes.
Honor our natural feelings when we go through this kind of sudden or not sudden or whatever loss, the grief, sad feelings. And some of the loss, it's even not the loss of the loved one's lives. Some of the loss, actually, it's the loss of love, maybe heartbroken in your relationships.
Right.
We find actually it's the similar procedure because it's just heartbroken. So many people, like after years, they still had to go back to that incident when they felt like their heart like shredded in their chest. They still feel this pain and it's almost like it's still bleeding, something like that. So if we don't go through and the processing and not honoring the natural stages, this initial stage, eventually it will be still there. It got stuck in our body energy system. It will not go out. So that's the thing, address. Oh yeah, before we got on, Wanda, we also mentioned, we said we need to remind each other, not forgetting about that, right? So we are talking right now about the person who is experiencing this loss. But how about the family members?
Yeah.
And the friends.
And friends.
Yes, maybe you can share with us a little bit.
Right. And so sometimes you might know somebody who's going through grief and loss, but you don't know how to help them. And so that it's important for you to understand the stages that people might go through typically and be a support to them. But it's very important to be non-judgmental when you are the supporting person, and also to have no timeline that somebody should get through this feeling or that feeling, or that they should have this feeling or that feeling. Sometimes people might not appear sad to you, and you feel like they should feel sad because they're in grief, but that's not really how grief works. So we kind of have to wash our minds of any expectations and just be with that person and allow them to kind of guide you as to what they need from you. And sometimes it's just your presence, just being with them is sometimes all they need,
Yeah, because everybody's different. You don't know what's going on inside of them. Deep down, they could feel very sad, and some people don't look like very sad or something, but you really don't know. Or some people, they don't know how to express their feelings. It's very, very normal. Especially men, right? Or some girls, ladies also, if they are from those emotional detached families growing up. So you never know. So our point is here to share that we want to be a team supporting, a member of supporting team. We want to honor their feelings no matter what they express or they don't express. You never have your own assumptions about what's going on. If they don't want to talk, we don't want to push them. If after a while they still don't open up, don't feel offended. It's nothing to do like they don't trust you, they don't want to be close to you or connect to you. You really don't know. And just respect, honor their feelings. If they are with low energy level, don't judge about they are weak or they are lazy or whatever. When people are pushing their energy down, they don't have energy level, it's beyond their control. They cannot use their emotion, a logical mind to control their emotions even. So be a good team member and supporter. Really just need to say, I want to understand your feelings. If you want to talk, you want to open, I am here for you. Whatever you need, I'm here. Until they are willing to open up, or maybe when they come to you. Of course you need to check about the safety or whatever, right? But overall, emotional wise, we don't want to push or just honor. We really need to honor. So
I think when somebody is going through grief, they're not able to have empathy for you. And so they're not thinking about how you might be feeling about them. And so it's really a good point Jenny is making, is to not be offended. Because they're not thinking in the moment that they're offending you or they're ignoring you or they're hurting you, because they're really super wrapped up in themselves and in their pain. And so don't take anything they do personal, because it is not personal. It's not against you at all. And it's hard to be a friend when maybe your feelings are wounded or you're offended. But if you can try to put that aside and realize they don't know what they're doing and how they're coming across, they're hurting.
They're hurting so deeply, at all levels, spiritually also. Why, that kind of thing. So that reminds me, when I felt really unfair, I became, for quite a while, I became very impatient about everything. Because I just felt like so unfair. This is on me again, and that everything became, like it's all on me. It became unfair. So that kind of thing. Thank you. So overall, that's the thing. So today we covered the first stage, going through the shocking, astonishing, even denial stage. And usually the next step will be like really sad, sorrow. And then next one, depressed maybe for some people, they didn't process. Or, then later, after months, they become, really angry about why
Mm-hmm.
it's me, something like that. And until, months or even years later, for some
Mm-hmm.
people start to really realize there is, spiritual meaning and a purpose for like spiritual
Mm-hmm.
awakening for purpose and transformation. But
Right.
that's uh you know really, it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
So usually that's several natural stages. We will
Mm-hmm.
come back to talk about the next stage about shifting from head to heart, next time, right?
Right.
So before we finish today, Wanda, do you have anything to
Well, the only thing I
add?
want to add is when we're talking about stages, we want to make it clear that we don't mean each stage lives by itself and you go from
Oh,
stage
yeah.
one to stage two to stage three. People are much more complicated than that, but we talk about stages just to sort of give a framework
Yes.
of this is typical and something that you can kind of understand in your head of what's happening because it's so chaotic. This helps it make a little bit more sense. But you also just need to understand that the stages are very fluid.
Yes.
And you might be here, feel this, and then you might feel that. Then you might be back here and feel this. And all of that is normal and okay. So I just sort of wanted to.
Thank you. Thank you for the great point. Yes, it's so true that there is no clear cut. We just
Mhm.
want to cover everything. And
Yeah.
usually it's the mixed feeling,
Mhm.
back and forth, just get stuck in these kind of several stages. Yes.
Right. Mhm.
Okay, time is up. Thank you so much, Wanda, again.
Thank you for having me.
Really, yeah. And also, thank you for all of you who are watching or will watch later. Welcome to let us know. If you have questions or if you are going through the challenges, let us know how we can support you. If you need like kind of further support also, we will post our information there for you to be easy to connect with us, maybe get some support. Okay, so we will come back on to talk about the next stage from head,
Mhm.
shifting from head to heart. But thank you for watching today. Bye for now. Thank you again, Wanda.
Thank you. Bye bye.